Hello guys, very good afternoon. This is L.K. Tripathi, SST teacher from LPM Public School, Ola Bazar, Gorakhpur. My dear students, in the last video, we have studied about the powers of Prime Minister. In this new video, we have to discuss and will come to know about the power of President. So let's get started to know the position of the president in the country. While the prime minister is the head of the government, the president is the head of the state. In our political system, the head of the state exercises only nominal powers. There is division of powers among the prime minister and the president. President is concerned to the states as he or she is known as the head of the state, while the prime minister is the head of the country. President is the nominal head of the country, whereas the prime minister exercises the real power of the country. The president of India is like the Queen of Britain, whose functions are to a large extent ceremonial. The president supervises the overall functioning of all the political institutions in the country so that they operate in harmony to achieve the objectives of the state. Only president is there to watch the institutional work of the country where it is working properly or not, and the objectives of the institution is going to be fulfilled or not. The president of India, just like the Queen of Britain, whose functions are to a large extent ceremonial. The position is only ceremonial. The real power is not exercised by the president of India in the country. The president is not elected directly by the people. The elected members of parliament, they are known MPs, MLAs of the state legislature, elect her. A candidate standing for president's post has to get a majority of votes to win the election. Means any person, can contest the election in the country. This is our fundamental rights. If you deserve all the quality and conditions, you can contest the election. So, the largest vote gaining candidates can be the President of India, but the President of India is not appointed by the common people of the country. The President is appointed by the elected members of the countries, including MPs and MLAs. This ensures that the President can be seen to represent the entire nation. At the same time, the President can never claim the kind of direct popular mandate that the Prime Minister can. This ensures that she remains only a nominal executive. The same is true of the powers of the President. If you casually read the Constitution, you would think that there is nothing that she cannot do. All government activities take place in the name of the President. All laws and major policy decisions of the government are issued in her name. All major appointments are made in the name of the President. These include the appointment of the Chief Justice of India, the judges of the Supreme Court and the high courts of the states, the governors of the states, the election commissioners, ambassadors to other countries, etc. All international treaties and agreements are made in the name of the President. The President is the supreme leader of the defense forces of India. But we should remember that the President exercises all these powers only on the advice of the Council of Ministers. The President can ask the Council of Ministers to reconsider its advice. But if the same advice is given again, she is bound to act according to it. Similarly, a bill passed by the Parliament becomes a law only after the President gives assent to it. If the President wants, she can delay this for some time and send the bill back to Parliament for reconsideration. But if Parliament passes the bill again, she has to sign it. So, you may wonder, what does the President really do? Can she do anything on her own at all? No. Answer is no. She can't do anything on her own at all. There is some restrictions, some important things. On that matter only, she can take decisions. Appoint the Prime Minister. When a party or coalition of parties secures a clear majority in the elections, the President has to appoint the leader of the majority party or the coalition that enjoys majority support in the Lok Sabha. When no party or coalition gets a majority in the Lok Sabha, the President exercises her direction. The President appoints a leader who in her opinion can muster majority support in the Lok Sabha. In such a case, the President can ask the newly appointed Prime Minister to prove majority support in the Lok Sabha within a specified time. Now see the position of the President. The presidential system. What happened in the presidential system? Presidents all over the world are not always nominal executives like the President of India. In many countries of the world, the President is both the head of the state and the head of the government. The President of the United States of America is the most well-known example of this kind of president. The US President is directly elected by the people. He personally chooses and appoints all ministers. The lawmaking is still done by the legislature, but the President can veto any law. Most importantly, the President does not need the support of the majority of members in the Congress, and neither is he answerable to them. He has a fixed tenure of 4 years and completes it even if his party does not have a majority in the Congress. This model is followed in most of the countries of Latin America and many of the ex-Soviet Union countries. Given the contrariety of the President, this system of government is called the presidential form of government. In countries like ours that follow the British model, the Parliament is supreme. Therefore, our system is called the parliamentary system of the government. This is very true. Not such a position is held in rest part of the countries, not rest part, many part of the countries as well as in India. Many of the president in the world assumes entire powers related to the states and government. The best example of the presidential form of the government is the USA. The US Prime Minister is all in all of the country, and many of the countries in the world where presidential system of the government, they assume all the powers. The judiciary. Let's return one final time to the story of office memorandum that we started with. This time, let us not recall the story. Judiciary is such an institution of the government of the country which is independent. No executive, no political body is concerned to this institution. It's a free and impartial institution of the country from where the people get judgment and the law of the land is interpreted by this institution. And the people or the government have to follow the direction and decision issued by the Supreme Court of India. This time, let us now recall the story. But imagine how different the story could have been. Remember, the story came to a satisfactory end because the Supreme Court gave a verdict that was accepted by everyone. Imagine what would have happened in the following situations. Number one, if there was nothing like a Supreme Court in the country. Even if there was a Supreme Court, if it had no power to judge action of the government. Number two, even if it had the power, if no one trusted the Supreme Court to give a fair verdict. Even if it gave a fair judgment, if those who appealed against the government order did not accept the judgment. Next, this is why an independent and powerful judiciary is considered essential for democracies. All the courts at different levels in a country put together and called the judiciary. The Indian judiciary consists of a Supreme Court for the entire nation, high courts in the states, district courts, and the courts at local level. India has an integrated judiciary. It means the Supreme Court controls the judicial administration in the country. Its decisions are binding on all other courts of the country. It can take up any dispute. Between citizens of the country, between citizens and government, between two or more state governments, and between governments at the union and the state level. It is the highest court of appeal in civil and criminal cases. It can hear appeals against the decisions of the high courts. Independence of the judiciary means that it is not under the control of the legislature or the executive. The judges do not act on the direction of the government or according to the wishes of the party in power. That is why all modern democracies have courts that are independent of the legislature and the executive. India has achieved this. The judges of the Supreme Court and the high courts are appointed by the president on the advice of the Prime Minister and in consultation with the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. In practice, it now means that the senior judges of the Supreme Court select the new judges of the Supreme Court and the High Courts. There is very little scope for interference by the political executive. The senior most judge of the Supreme Court is usually appointed the Chief Justice. Once a person is appointed as judge of the Supreme Court or the High Court, it is nearly impossible to remove him or her from that position. It is as difficult as removing the President of India. A judge can be removed only by an impeachment motion passed separately by 2/3 members of the two houses of the Parliament. This is very difficult. Once appointed, the judges for the Supreme Court as well as the High Courts, this is impossible, approximately impossible to remove them from their positions. Only they can be removed by the impeachment motion, and 2/3 majority in the both houses of the Parliament should be there. This is as much as difficult as the president's removal of the country. So, the judiciary is the strongest law interpreting body of the country. Supreme Court has the integrated system of judiciary, different courts at the different level available in the country, from district level to the national level. So, we have come to know much more approximately about the judiciary. Rest discussion will be taking place in the next video. Till then, thank you and goodbye.